Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. Today's video is that time of the week again. It's the Premier League predictions video. Of course it is. Another round of exciting and intriguing Premier League fixtures is almost upon us. And this is the video where, of course, we look at all the games coming up and we talk about them as well as give predictions on how we think the outcomes will go. This week, a little bit more special because there is a rearranged fixture to be included in this week's list, but there are still some big games as well. We're going to be talking about all of them and giving predictions, of course we are, but before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both of them are always very greatly appreciated. And of course, for you lot to get involved in the comment section, give me your thoughts, comments, opinions. But most of all, of course, it's a predictions video, so your predictions will make for great and interesting reading down below in that comment section. So do get them all down there. But without further ado, let's get on with the predictions. We're starting things off with what could be a very exciting game down at Villa Park for your 12:30 lunchtime viewing on Saturday. Aston Villa taking on Brighton. Two teams coming into this one off the back of wins in their previous game. Villa, of course, beating Chelsea by a single goal to nil, whilst Brighton beat Bournemouth by 3-1. Brighton are flying high right now. Villa are doing modestly okay. They had a couple of stumbling points during this early stage of the season, but they've come good from most of it. Like I say, last week beating Chelsea, Ollie Watkins getting off the mark for the season. Could that be the kick that he needed to go on and obviously score more goals this season? Only time will tell. But they obviously come up against a very difficult Brighton side that are playing some brilliant football right now, scoring goals for fun, and are putting teams away. This could be a very tough game for Unai Emery's side, and I do fear for Villa a little bit here. I know that they're at home, and I know that obviously Villa Park is a very tough place to go to, but I do fear that if Villa continues to play this high line that they've got, Brighton will exploit it, and Brighton will create a lot of chances, and that's why I can see Brighton winning this. It's not going to be a foregone conclusion by any means. Villa do have players themselves that can cause damage to Brighton, and like I say, Watkins certainly could be a very difficult striker to stop for the Seagulls. Moussa Diaby, of course, we know about him. They've also got some good players in their midfield. Have Villa. This could be a very tricky game for both sides to contend with. But I'm going to give the 3 points to Brighton in my prediction here. I'm going to say that the Seagulls win this game by 3-1. For the first game of our 3 o'clock viewing, we are at the Vitality Stadium. It is Bournemouth taking on Arsenal. Massive game for both of these clubs. Bournemouth are still winless this season so far. Last weekend, of course, they lost 3-1 to Brighton. They are still in need of a win, and they're coming against an Arsenal side looking to bounce back from sort of disappointment last weekend when they drew 2-2 with their fierce North London derby rivals, Tottenham. Massive game, like I say, for both clubs. Arsenal fans their chances of getting back to winning ways here against the Bournemouth side, like I say, that are still without a win so far this season. Bournemouth, it's not been through lack of trying. They play some good stuff at times, but they just can't put the ball into the back of the net, and they cannot stop a leaky defence from conceding goals. But whilst for Arsenal, Bournemouth may fancy their chances against a bit of an injury-hit Arsenal side, but really, Arsenal should definitely be winning this game. Arsenal should be picking up the 3 points here, and if they don't, that says a hell of a lot about this Arsenal side right now, and maybe about their season going forward. Arsenal going to this as the favourites. Bournemouth, it's a bit of a free swing. They are at home. Maybe they could cause a bit of an upset if they play their cards right at the stars align. But really, you are leaning more towards Arsenal in this case, and that is why I am going to go with a 2-0 win. 2-0 win to the Gunners. Next up, we're off to Goodison Park. It is Everton against Luton. Big game for both of these sides, of course. Everton looking to build upon their first victory of their campaign last weekend in what was a slightly surprising 3-1 victory against Brentford. Whilst Luton, of course, are still winless. They are still yet to win this season so far. And of course, they face a big double-header this week, with obviously going up against Everton on Saturday and then Burnley on Tuesday night. Big game. And it will be typical of Everton in this situation to, of course, pick up a good victory against the team that no one was really expecting them to beat last weekend in Brentford, and then to throw it away by dropping points against a side that really they should be getting a good result against in Luton. Luton don't really have anything left to lose. They have to go all out. You would imagine they need to start getting points on the board. Last weekend, of course, they did actually manage to pick up their first point of the season in quite controversial circumstances with a 1-1 draw against Wolves. So it's not been through lack of trying, but this game is going to be interesting to say the least between two maybe relegation candidates, you might think. Everton go into this one as the favourites. Luton have nothing to lose. It could be a recipe for disaster for Everton, but I am actually going to say that this game will end in Everton actually putting together back-to-back wins. I think it could end any which way, a draw maybe, but I'm going to back Everton, give them the slight edge just a little bit, which is why I'm going to go with a 1-0 victory in favour of Sean Dyche's side. Next up, Old Trafford awaits the clash of Manchester United against Crystal Palace. The second time this week that these two teams will have met, because obviously these two sides clashed in the Carabao Cup, of course, with United coming out as the winners in that encounter thanks to a 3-0 thumping of Roy Hodgson's side. Last weekend, of course, United got back to winning ways in the Premier League as well with a 1-0 victory over Burnley. Palace, on the other hand, drew 0-0 with Fulham. This one is always going to be an interesting encounter between these two sides. Palace are always going to be a thorn in the side of many teams, and many top teams at that. Whilst United, of course, you never know what you're going to get from them this season. With United being at home, you would probably suspect that they're going to take advantage of that, and they're probably going to go on and get a good result here. But like I say, Palace have this edge about them that makes them very difficult to contend with, difficult to compete against, and they could prove to be very difficult for United in this situation. In saying that, Amrabat on his debut midweek looked very, very good. He looks like he's going to be the missing piece to what United need in that midfield and give them some extra legs and energy in that midfield that they desperately have needed and been crying out for this season so far. If Højlund continues his form, you would suspect that he may be amongst the goals. You've got to give the edge to United. You've got to give the edge to United in this one. And that is why I'm going to say that Erik ten Hag's side take all 3 points in a 2-1 win in favour of the Red Devils. Next up, Burnley make the tricky away day to St James's Park, where Newcastle awaits. Newcastle, of course, last weekend absolutely putting Sheffield United to the sword in their game with a massive, monumental 8-0 thrashing of the Blades in that game. Whilst Burnley, of course, still without a win this season, still looking for their first 3 points of the campaign, following last weekend's loss to Manchester United. It's a big game. Massive game for Burnley. Every game now has extra weight of expectation and extra want for a win in that, because obviously they are going game by game now without a win. It's proven to be very difficult for Vincent Kompany's side. They're playing some good football. They just lack the quality when it matters most, both in each end of the pitch, basically defending and attacking. It's not been through lack of trying, but like I say, it's just that lack of quality that is missing from Vincent Kompany's side. Whilst Newcastle, of course, like I say, that 8-0 win will have done them the world of good. It would have got some goals in that side. The good football was flowing. It was against Sheffield United, and people will always point that out. But not every team this season has gone on to beat Sheffield United by 8-0, not even the champions of Manchester City. So that will do them the world of good in obviously a season that has been a bit hit and miss for them so far during this campaign. But like I say, that could be the kick up the backside that they needed, and you would suspect that they're going to be strong favourites, as they are at home, as they are against a side that they should be beating anyway, to go on and put back-to-back wins together here. So that's where my prediction lies. I'm going with the favourites. I'm going with a Newcastle win, and I'm going to say the Magpies come out of this one as 3-1 winners. Next up, we're off to the London Stadium. It is West Ham against Sheffield United. Both sides come into this one off the back of defeats. West Ham lost 3-1 to Liverpool last Sunday, while Sheffield United, of course, had a day to forget with that 8-0 smashing that they suffered at the hands of Newcastle. Big game for both sides. Big game that both sides want to get back to winning ways on. West Ham had a couple of bad weeks facing the champions in Man City. And that ended their unbeaten start to the season. And then, of course, losing to Liverpool last weekend. Sheffield United are still without a win this season. You would suspect that West Ham go into this game as favourites. They are at home. They are against a newly promoted side. Sheffield United, can they afford... How long does their manager have left? I'm surprised. 8-0 to Newcastle. I know it's against a very good Newcastle side, but even 8-0 is the kind of side, is the kind of scoreline that gets a manager sacked. I'm a bit surprised, or I mean, I admire the fact that they're keeping him, but is it only a matter of time before maybe he becomes the first managerial casualty within the season to obviously go? I know obviously the Wolves manager got sacked, but that was before the season even kicked off. But is he going to be next to go? Only time will tell on that one. And even just as bad of a bad thrashing here may actually signal that kind of fate being sealed. But you have to go with the favourites, and you have to go with a West Ham win. And I'm going to say that this game will end 2-1 to the Hammers. Rounding off the 3 o'clock games on Saturday, we're at Molineux. It is Wolves against Manchester City. And again, this should be one of the more favourable ones to call this week. As harsh as that may sound, and as horrible as that may sound to write a team off before a ball is even kicked, Manchester City should be winning this game, right? Wolves not looking great, not looking good at all. And then to make matters worse, they're having to contend with Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, who are on a roll right now. They are perfect. They are unbeaten so far this season. Their latest result being a 2-0 victory against Nottingham Forest last week. It is difficult to see how Wolves are going to contend with this one. Hope that maybe the stars align, they stick 11 men behind the ball and they remain resolute and defensive all game and maybe manage to grind a point out, maybe. It's difficult to see how Wolves are going to get anything out of this game. City should be winning this game nonetheless. They should be obviously getting the 3 points, and they should maybe even getting a clean sheet out of it as well. And unfortunately, that's the way I see it. As much as I want Wolves to actually get a good result here, I unfortunately cannot see that happening for Wolves in this game. And that is why I've got to go with a 3-0 victory in favour of Pep Guardiola's side come the final whistle. Jumping ahead to Sunday's games, and we have only got one actually for a Sunday, which is a bit strange, but it is at the City ground. It is Nottingham Forest against Brentford. Forest, of course, coming into this game off the back of a 2-0 loss to Manchester City last weekend, whilst Brentford as well are coming into this game off the back of a defeat, with them losing 3-1 to Everton. So this game, we'll see both sides looking to get back to winning ways here. Forest, of course, at home, playing some good stuff. Obviously, are a force at home rather than they are away. will fancy their chances in this one against the Brentford side, who have been a bit hit and miss so far this season. Haven't quite been the same since getting back from the international break. But of course, on their day, can be extremely dangerous, can be a threat, especially on the counter-attack. And this game could be a very open and very intriguing and exciting game to watch for your Sunday afternoon viewing. So don't just discount it because they're not exactly the biggest or flashiest names in the Premier League. This one could actually be a very underrated game, to say the least. As far as the result goes, this one could go any which way. Like I say, Forest at home are a force to be reckoned with. Brentford on their day are a force to be reckoned with. It could be a high-scoring game. It could be a high-scoring draw. This one is very much up in the air. I think if I'm having to pick, I'm going to go with a draw. I've gone back and forth over this one numerous times, and I've made cases for both sides to win it. But I think I'm going to call it down the middle in the end. I'm going to say that this game will end in a draw. And I'm going to say we've got a Desmond on our hands. I'm going to say 2-2 come the final whistle. We've got a Monday night game this week, and it comes from Craven Cottage for a big London derby between Fulham and Chelsea. Fulham, of course, drew 0-0 with Crystal Palace last weekend, whilst Chelsea's dismal season continued with a 1-0 defeat at the hands of Aston Villa. Both sides looking for wins in this game. Both sides looking to get points on the board. None more so than Chelsea, who need the win more. But they face a difficult task in going to Craven Cottage and getting a good result. And given how their season's gone so far, I don't think many people will be backing them to get that result, in all honesty. Fulham, difficult on the best of days. Very difficult, especially when they're at home. An extremely difficult task to try and overcome. However, this is a Chelsea side that are struggling to put the ball into the back of the net. This is a Chelsea side that as soon as they seem to go one goal down, they seem to lose all hope and optimism, and their mentality drops. This could be a difficult game for the Blues. And you do fear that another loss might just tip more Chelsea fans over the edge. I don't think it'll be a loss, but I don't see them winning either. Again, I'm going to call it down the middle. I'm going to say this game will end in another draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw come the final whistle. But again, this game could end any which way. That's how unconfident and how unsure I am with this entire game in general, but it could make for a great Monday night viewing. Tuesday night, of course, we'll see Luton Town take on Burnley, a game that was obviously rearranged because it was meant to be played on the second round of Premier League fixtures earlier on this season, but due to Luton's home ground not quite being ready to obviously play the game, had to be rearranged. So we're going to include it in this list as well. Obviously, we won't. I don't know. Obviously, what's going to be happening in the future, so I don't know what's going to be happening this weekend. But when both of these teams meet on Tuesday, this could be a very good opportunity for both sides to get more points on the board over the other. But this could already be a massive relegation six-pointer before, obviously, the relegation battle has truly took hold of both of these teams so far. Both teams will fancy their chances. It is a bit of a championship kind of encounter, I guess you could say, with all due respect to both of these sides. But in saying that, this game could go any which way. I'm going to lean more towards Burnley. I know Luton are at home. It could be a very difficult encounter for Burnley. And I guess on a Tuesday night, if the crowd is up for it, it could be a very hostile ground for Burnley, and Luton could thrive off of that atmosphere. But I am going to lean more towards Burnley and say that Vincent Kompany's side get the 3 points that they are looking for. I'm going to say that this game will end 2-1 to the away side. But finally, for the biggest game of this weekend's round of fixtures, in my opinion, the main event of every clash that is coming up this weekend, and obviously beyond for Monday and Tuesday, it has to come from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. and it has to be Tottenham taking on Liverpool. A huge clash, a Premier League classic down at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for your Saturday evening viewing. Both sides coming into this game unbeaten so far this season. Tottenham last weekend drew 2-2 in the North London derby with Arsenal, of course, whilst at the same time, on the same day, Liverpool beat West Ham by 3-1 to continue their unbeaten start to the season. And Postecoglou starting off his Tottenham career in brilliant fashion, in a brilliant way. Already got the love of the Tottenham fans on his side. Actually winning over a few neutrals and maybe even some rivals as well, with how well he's taken to the job and how well spoken he is and how seemingly likeable this guy is. And a Jurgen Klopp side that are fearless going forward and are threatening and are quick going forward. A midfield that seems to have been brilliantly resurrected with the summer transfers that they've managed to conduct. But there are kinks to both sides' armour. Defensively, there are issues with defences, and I think this could provide both sides with enough incentive to go on and create a big, high-scoring encounter here. Normally in these kinds of clashes, both of these sides throw up an absolute clinic. This game is a game that provides plenty of drama and some very late drama at that too. There have been some very, very big moments in these games that often come down to the final kick of the game, the final few moments, deep into injury time. We remember obviously the 4-3 victory that Diogo Jota scored the winning goal in an injury time last season in something like the 96th minute, after obviously Richarlison thought he had managed to earn Tottenham a point with a 3-3 draw after Liverpool threw a 3-goal lead away. So we know that these kinds of games throw up late clashes. Roberto Firmino will tell you all about them. He was involved in quite a few in which he provided the winning goal deep in injury time. Liverpool, I think I'm right in saying, are the only side to be unbeaten at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium since obviously it opening several years ago. Could that streak continue? Could that streak be broken on Saturday night? Only time will tell. But this is going to be an exciting clash nonetheless. This is going to be a clash of two very dangerous playing sides, two very dangerous looking attacks. I'm hoping James Maddison will be fit, even though I am a Liverpool fan, but I want to see him play because I think it'll be an interesting test for our defence, and also it'll be interesting to see how, in my opinion, two of the best summer signings go head to head in James Maddison and Dominic Szoboszlai. So it'll be interesting to see how those two clash. Son is back amongst the goals for Spurs. How will he do against the Liverpool backline? He'll be licking his lips against that Liverpool backline that is seemingly a little bit weaker right now than what a lot of Liverpool fans would like it to be. But then at the other end of the pitch, Darwin Núñez is firing, Luis Diaz is causing problems, and Mohamed Salah is on fire right now, and he's looking to continue his goal contributions in consecutive matches. Will he get another one here? Will he have a big say in this game? Only time will tell. Either way, this is going to be a huge encounter, an exciting encounter. So if the referee does hold up, as they tend to do this season, about 10 to 12 minutes of injury time, you better not miss it, because this game throws up extremely late drama time and time again. As far as the result goes, I want to back Liverpool. I so want to back Liverpool. I really, 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 really want to back Liverpool. But you can't deny Spurs are playing some great football. Spurs are going to be dangerous. This game could throw up a ton of goals. And that's why I've got to go for a draw. I am leaning more towards Liverpool, admittedly. If I had to go with a Liverpool win, I'd say 3-2. But I just think there's something about the Spurs side that will just thwart that a little bit. And that's why I've got to go with a 2-2 draw. I've got to go with a 2-2 draw come the final whistle. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of all the games that are coming up this weekend? In what will be another round of exciting Premier League fixtures. What are your own thoughts, comments, opinions? But most of all, of course, this is a prediction show. So what are your predictions on all the games that are coming up this weekend and beyond? I'd love to read them all down below in the comment section because I'm sure they'll make for great and interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always incredibly greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever the hell it will be. Cheers, guys. Have a good one. Enjoy this weekend's Premier League clashes, and I will see you all again soon.